Dr. Kelly,
Yes.
how are you doing, ma'am?
I'm better now.
You're better now that we can hear you? Yes, you rang the bat phone. Please break it down for us.
Well, I loved what you were talking about. That's really exciting. Thinking about this question of citizenship and the way Obama disturbs sort of this white supremacist notion of citizenship.
Right.
And I think what Aaron said about the alien is key. Like that was science right there. Because there's a way in which African Americans are never fundamentally conceived as being possible to be citizen, right? So throughout history, the notion of the slave is that the slave is not really a person like us. They are sort of like us, but they're stigmatized. Mm-hmm. And so therefore it's okay to enslave them. And then after they're free, it's okay to imprison them, right? So the exception in the 13th Amendment that frees the slaves says, well, except for the prisons. And so then you have folks who are like, oh, really? So all I have to do is arrest black people. And then again, they are not citizen. And so there's a way in which America has never really come to full grips with the notion of an American black person. Mm. So sometimes when I ask my students, what are you? And they're white Southerners, they'll say, I'm an American. And I'll say, and they'll look at me. And then they'll pause and they'll say, yeah. But it's a pause, right? So if I'm writing an essay and I mean white Americans, I can say Americans. But if I'm writing an essay and I mean black Americans, I better put that qualifier in front of it, right? So this is a way in which we've never blended blackness back in. We've never considered us real people. So what I was crying about when Obama got elected, and I was crying, was because the folks that I research would have been so excited to really have someone represent us as full citizen in every sense of the word. And I didn't realize the degree to which I didn't even know that I was a full citizen until someone in a body proximate to mine was elected to be the president of the United States.
Valid. Mm. I believe a lot of us had that.
So that's shocking to me on that side. So think of how in the white supremacist mind, how shocking it must be to have that black body inhabit the highest notion of patriotism and citizenship. They feel displaced. They don't know what to do. They're confused and they're sad. And so it must be hard. Maybe they need some recovery of some sort, some kind of trauma,
PTSD, counseling,
sit down, have a talk,
counseling, a program, because it's just a shock to what they knew was possible. And I'm sure they weren't thinking about it in those terms, because I wasn't thinking about it in those terms. But it is a new thing. It's a new way of being. And when you hear the people, like Eljoy was saying, take my country back, they mean like back from that guy who took it. Like that black guy took my citizenship, and now I don't know who I am. He messed up my whole day.
Wow.
And that's what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. He took away my citizen. So,
what does citizenship mean without people who are not citizen? The Constitution doesn't even define citizen until the 14th Amendment. When African Americans get their citizenship remains undefined in the Constitution. They never even bother to tell you what it is. We are the thing that this whole Jimmy Jam flies around. That's why every time somebody says, oh, African American history is not relevant, African American history is American history. You don't understand America without thinking about the question of race.
Yeah. Yep. No fights here. And these are all valid points. And and when you do think about it in that way, yeah, the issue. The issue becomes if the election of Barack Obama fundamentally changed what it meant to be American, and people did not like that. Hence, yes. They want it gone. They want to go back to the way it was, because this is not America. This is some crazy regime with some Muslim other dude sitting there taking stuff from other people, and this is not fair. This is not America. And the idea that America can't evolve past what they wanted it to evolve to, because America was cool to evolve up to a certain point, and then there was a line in the sand, and America was not allowed to be anything past that. And now that we continue evolving, people continue rising in the country, in status, in power. It's not what they can handle, and this is now the problem. This is why we have these fights. This is what funded the rise of the Tea Party. And even now, when you look at like what Romney is saying, like he obviously even though I don't believe in his mind, he's thinking, I don't like the black guy in charge. I don't believe that's what he's thinking, but
no,
I do
not
believe
consciously.
Right. But I do believe he clearly looks at all of this, and his wording and his phrasing and all of that good stuff is painting the picture of this is not real America. We have to fix this. Even if it's doing well, it's still not real America. So it's not even about whether or not Obama does well. It's not about whether or not the economy fixes itself, any of that. It's still not real America because that guy did it in a way that I don't like, and so I need my country back.
Yep. I mean, the other day, somebody at a Newt Gingrich rally screamed, "Go back to Kenya." And I immediately, heard in my little suffering through white suburbia as a child brain, "Go back to Africa." Because I heard that 50 million times from people yelling at black people, at me. And I immediately was like, oh, they just, like, get out of my way. Like, I don't want to see you. I don't want to think about you anymore. Please leave. Yeah. But the problem is that we are fundamentally American. We were here before the founding of this nation, and we are Americans. So there's really nothing they can do to get rid of us. So they're trying to regress. Part of why we're having a debate about the pill this week in national politics in 2012 is this desire to go back in time. Wow. To a time when women were barefoot and making babies and black people weren't citizens.
And that's what's dangerous, is that they don't know how to operate in the future.
Yes.
They only know how to operate, and they only know how to conserve power in the past. And so that's why all of their policies, sort of all the things they want to push, is always going back to a time where they knew just like I knew who was in charge. I knew how to govern. I knew, that I could take care of my people when I was here. They haven't figured out yet how do I govern in the future, and yes. Sort of how do I maintain this power in the future. Everything is always talking about how do I bring this back.
That's why Romney doesn't even really have any policies besides, right. Turning his taxes down even lower.
Exactly. Like, there is no forward thinking anything that they are presenting. I mean, the most awkward
they don't want to go forward.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. The most, erroneous thing they have is to go to the moon and build a moon colony. Right. And that's from Newt Gingrich.
That's about us too. Newt Gingrich.
Right. But the thing is, there is no forward everything is regression. So we can't focus on climate change. We can't focus on any of that stuff. We need to just go back to coal. We need to go and drill in our own. Like, we were drilling when we were exploring the rest of the country, when we didn't know what the West had, and when we like that. Are we going back to a gold rush time? Seriously? Like, we can't think out, future. And so they haven't learned yet. They haven't, they need to come to Jesus meeting to go, like, how do we govern, or how do we focus on the future? Because trying to circle the country back to the past is consistently going to put us at odds with our own citizens.
Well, we're not really citizens, so that's.
I said with our own citizens, because I think that, because even in, and even in their own ranks, and in terms of the disparity that they have, still don't have a cohesiveness in terms of, there still exists that wide swath of middle class and rich, even in other ethnicity groups. So they don't have a complete consensus with themselves to bring everybody back to the country, or back where it was.
This is all problematic.